जब मैं 4 साल की थी ना तो माय पेरेंट्स केम एंड आस्क्ड मी, दोनों एक साथ आके मुझे पूछे कि आपको कोंकोना सेन बनना है या कोंकोना शर्मा बनना है। 4 या 5 साल की थी मैं, तो मुझे तो लगा कि अगर मैं कोंकोना सेन बोलूँ तो पापा को बुरा लगेगा, मैं शर्मा बोलूँ तो मम्मा को बुरा लगेगा, तो मैंने इसीलिए बोल दिया कि सेन शर्मा दोनों हो जाएंगे। एंड दैट वाज अ बर्डन माय होल लाइफ देन। बर्डन एज इन बिकॉज स्कूल में जाके इट वाज एन अनयूजुअल नेम। I professed feelings to a guy, which I kind of had not very seriously, but because I was going to do it in a scene in a film.
Wow.
Yeah, which I may not otherwise have done or may have done, I'm not sure. But I did do it and I used the whole duk and how it feels now to do it. I used it, it was very helpful. You know, I've really had the best kind of nepotism or whatever in a way, because I've had so much privilege and so much luck. I mean, it's not like there was any plan. I didn't want to become an actor. My mother had no plans to launch me. It's because Amruta Sen put me in this film and everybody was like, oh, it's so good, that Rituparna Ghosh said, do my film. That was my second film. Rituparna Ghosh was a friend of the family. So again, very lucky. मुझे सब कहते थे बार बार कि नहीं आप बहुत अच्छी एक्टिंग करते हो, ये तो बड़े होके एक्टर ही बनेगा एंड ऑल दैट, एंड आई यूज्ड टू बी लाइक या व्हाटएवर, राइट। मुझे तो अच्छा नहीं लगता कि लोग मुझे बोले कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए। पहली बात तो ये है कि आप मत बताओ। मुझे जो करना है वो मैं करूँगी। The film was, you know, a very commercial potboiler kind of film. I was playing a psychotic teenager obsessed with an older man, and I was just like, I was such a snob. I was much younger. I was in college. I was doing, you know, seminars on theatre of the absurd, and I was like, "Ki hoche?" You know, Kanakochi. But then it was popular and well liked, and I got some state awards and things like that. And sometimes when people would say also, "But don't you feel like your mother?" in comparison, I'd be like, no, I don't feel any of that. I mean, if anything, my mom was like, come on, do this film. I didn't look like a typical heroine either. So I was like, what am I going to act? My mom used to have a great VHS collection, and she never used to let me watch the very mainstream Bengali or Hindi films of the 80s and 90s, because she said, you know, they're not of great quality. I was a very quiet, shy, introverted child who was happy on her own, daydreaming and reading and eating churran.
Hello everybody, I'm Rudrani and welcome to Spotlight Sessions podcast. It's the place we call your favorite celebrities and actors who come and tell us their stories, anecdotes about their lives. Today my guest is so special. Of course she's talented, but beyond that, she's a human being who's appreciated for who she is. She's always done things her own way, superbly confident and admired by so many. I'm talking about Konkona. Hello, thank you for doing this.
Hi Rudrani, thank you for that lovely warm intro.
Every word is true. I've had people who've come up to me often from the industry, actors and a lot of your fellow friends, and we've just sat and discussed about how much you've inspired them and me in the way you conduct yourself.
How sweet. Thank you very much.
And I know how uncomfortable compliments make you.
No, I mean, I'm, you know, I don't mind. It's a nice thing.
It is. Like I said, it goes beyond just you being a great actor. It because of the way you have always conducted yourself and stood up for things that you believe in. It's not often encouraged in this world. It's not often encouraged, especially to women, to be that way, which I think is a very inspiring thing for everybody.
But I've always had my mom as a great example, no?
That's true.
I was very lucky.
Also, you inculcated that kind of values and that kind of principles. I think that is also important, no?
Yeah. See, this must be happening even, I don't know, without me necessarily being aware of it.
Sure.
So that's good. Great. I'm happy.
Okay, I was thinking I'll bring this a little later, but I'm going to start right now because we're talking about people who talk about you, like I said, often. So I have a small surprise video from someone you know and someone we both know.
Oh, no.
Are you ready?
How sweet.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Even before I met Koko, I was closely watching her career, and Her choices of films, her choices of content was giving me a lot of hope. She gave me confidence that you could be yourself and you could be part of this industry. When I got an opportunity to meet her and work with her, it was really a dream come true. And I must say, when you know somebody from a distance, you're also scared that, when I see her closely, will I like her as much? And I must say that I was so fortunate to have known her as a person. Because for me, yes, projects happen, but it's my opportunity to know a certain person closely, and my opportunity to know Koko has been a most unique one, and she is the one of the most beautiful persons I've met in my life. Of course, I love her as an actor. I love her. She's an amazing director, but I think what a human being she is. And she has been there. I mean, we don't even meet. We cannot meet after in all these days because even she's busy, I'm busy. But she's one of those rarest persons who has given me that support, that feeling that she's there for me. She has been there for me. Even if we don't meet, I have felt that, and that's a rarest of a beautiful quality anyone can have. I have learned many things from her, but most importantly, what I have learned from her is to respect myself. The way she has given me confidence, because I've been vulnerable with each new project, and I might have troubled her with love stories because of my vulnerability, I think, but the way she was calmly there for me has been the most precious thing. I think she's one of the most beautiful things that have happened to me in my life, in my lifetime. I really mean it. It's very difficult to put into words what Koko is for me. So I'll just say love you, Koko.
I love you, Amruta. What a doll she is. Just too sweet. We had some kind of we always used to say we have a telepathic communication. Many times what I was thinking she would say.
Really?
And vice versa, yeah. And while we were shooting, it happened a few times.
She told me, in fact, she was calling you also when she was trying to direct recently. She directed. And she told me that she called you.
That's right. We did actually speak once when she was directing. And I mean, I have immense respect and admiration for her as an artist. And I don't remember anything especially along these lines during the shoot, because you know how it is, the shoot one is so kind of caught up with, it was a short film, so it was a very kind of a tight shoot as usual. And so I was very caught up with all of that. But I have to say, with Amruta, she had a lot of dedication, she had a lot of faith, a lot of dedication. I mean, they all did. Tilottama, Shrikant Yadav. And I really appreciate that so much. But I think that, firstly, Amruta and I, so I don't know anything in particular I did or didn't do. I'm not even aware like that. I was just being my natural self on set. And but I could tell that we are getting along. Because, see, Tilottama I have known for years. I've worked with her before. She's a good friend of mine. But Amruta didn't know at all before the set. Before this shoot, I didn't know her at all. I knew her work. And she's a great artist. And she's a very consummate artist. She has a great temperament as well. And she is able to do many different things, So she's very talented, and she's going to go very far, of course, and theatre, film, whatever, everything. And we both have famous moms who have also been artists. So I guess that is something I could very easily also relate to and understand. And mothers who have been great artists in their own right and also have had very exacting standards, So that is something I think we had in common. And like I said, we had some kind of an understanding, like a non-verbal understanding we did have. It just happened a few times that, like what she's thinking, I'm also thinking. That just happened. You can't plan it. You can't, work your way towards that. It happens or it doesn't. It doesn't always happen with everyone. So that was, I was very blessed for that. And then after that also for a while, we've been in touch. We've had, some celebrations together, especially soon after. But then, how it is. We get caught up in work and travel and family and all of that. But I'm very touched. Very sweet of her to take the time out and share this.
And let me tell you that she did it immediately. She was going out somewhere. She's like, no, of course, you want it for Koko, of course. So that's the kind of love that she has for you.
That's the kind of person she is.
That she is also. She's wonderful. Of course, we'll have to talk about the journey of the woman who's sitting in front of me. I think औरतों को अपने बहुत सारे ऐसे moments याद रहते हैं अपने इस journey में ना, when we are growing up particularly, because we have so many moments that kind of add to who we are eventually, जो हम बन जाते हैं जब हम अपनी ज़िंदगी खुद जीते हैं, अपने पेरेंट्स के उस छाया से निकल के बाहर आते हैं. So I would like you to help me in understanding that. Let's go back to the time when you were this little girl and you were observing the world that you're a part of, जहाँ पे आपके your parents were so involved in literature and cinema and all of that. And how did you observe all of that? और वहाँ से फिर of course निकल कर आपने खुद की ये journey कैसे start की? So.
It is true that the family was very much into the arts. Very creative family. मतलब I don't think किसी ने भी science पढ़ा है हमारी family में. No, my dad, of course. But my dad was a very interesting blend of arts and science. Yeah. So he actually used to run the Science Today magazine, 2001 Science, which was, and he was the editor of the Science magazine. So that's how that part... that's how his influence came into my life in many ways. Humor, science, futurism, sci-fi, all very interesting and very different. But in mom's side of the family, I have to say everybody's been in literature, music, creative fields, arts basically. तो बचपन से like all good Bengali girls हमको भी वो नाच गाना सिखाया गया था. रविंद्र संगीत every Sunday. Then I used to learn Kathak for many years. तो ये सब तो था ही. And there was this encouragement also of creativity, and encouragement of expressing your feelings, and encouragement to be yourself. And my mom always used to give me that space as well. Ki, what do you think? How do you feel about this? So it was not like I had to be a certain way or I had to think a certain way. I think they were comfortable if I disagreed. नहीं मुझे नहीं लगता ऐसा करना चाहिए. अच्छा आपको क्या लगता है क्या करना चाहिए? ये to ask a child this question. जब मैं 4 साल की थी ना तो my parents came and asked me, दोनों एक साथ आके मुझे पूछे कि आपको कोंकणा सेन बनना है या कोंकणा शर्मा बनना है.
Wow.
तो ये मतलब 4 या 5 साल की थी मैं, तो मुझे तो लगा कि अगर मैं कोंकणा सेन बोलूँ तो पापा को बुरा लगेगा, मैं शर्मा बोलूँ तो मम्मा को बुरा लगेगा, तो मैंने इसीलिए बोल दिया कि सेन शर्मा दोनों हो जाएंगे. एंड दैट वाज अ बर्डन माय होल लाइफ देन. Burden as in because school में जाके it was an unusual name.
Yeah.
It's okay, people have long unusual names, but when you're a kid,
they will
and
ask.
There are very simple names, like Neha Roy. And I was like, why can't I be a Neha Roy? Why Konkona itself was so unusual? There were teachers who were always mispronouncing your name. So in that sense...
I relate to this, like Rudrani Chotturaj.
Chotturaj?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not Chattopadhyay?
No, I'm Chotturaj. So I get it.
I see, yeah. So it takes a toll, in the attendance every day, every teacher stumbling over your name, Anyway, but I later really grew and I wanted to exchange my name with my sister because my sister's name is Kamalini. My elder sister's name is Kamalini. So I thought that's such a nice, soft, kind of feminine kind of a name. I thought that it's best if I asked her very seriously, you be Konkona, I'll be Kamalini. And she was like, nothing doing, I'm mad. So, but I grew into Konkona. And I love my name now. I'm very happy. But, when you're young, you want to fit in. You want to kind of blend and fit in and stuff like that. So that time I used to feel like that. So that was, those were the kind of parents I had. They also didn't they didn't push me into academics, or like they didn't insist that I get very good grades or anything. And I think till like class 7, 8 and all, I really was quite dismal in my studies. I didn't take much of an interest. I was such a dreamer. I used to always forget things, forget when the test is, forget to do my homework. Oh no, I don't have the map, or whatever. Oh, I need 6x6 poplin cloth. That was such a big deal in my childhood. We had needlework and we had 6x6 poplin cloth, the chain stitch. Oh my God, it's such a stressful thing even now. But so they weren't. And and then I changed schools and I went to an international school and I kind of came into my own, so I've always been a bit of a late bloomer in that sense. But I think my mom also had this from her parents, because my grandfather founded the Calcutta Film Society along with Satyajit Ray. So they used to screen a lot of world cinema. They used to have a large big veranda in those old houses, and they had a projector. So they would screen these films regularly and have film festivals and organize film screenings and things like that. So I think there was some influence of that which was there, because my mom used to have a great VHS collection. And she never used to let me watch the very mainstream Bengali or Hindi films of the 80s and 90s, because she said, they're not of great quality, except for a few here and there, which I could watch. But most of the time she used to say that, no, you don't watch all this. But we watched a lot of regional cinema. We watched a lot of world cinema. She used to take me everywhere with her. I remember going to the Cairo Film Festival, to the Moscow Film Festival when I was like 10 years old. And this is, I think, 1989. So it was a very strange time to go to Moscow, actually, because that was when there was what was it called, perestroika and glasnost and things like that. Things I was just learning about then. And she used to let me watch anything and everything in terms of world cinema. So in that, and she used to encourage me to read a lot of books, encourage me to daydream. In fact, when she found I was only reading Enid Blyton that time, she was like, you can't only be reading Enid Blyton. I'm confiscating all these books. Now you have to read other kinds of books and other classics and more grown-up books and stuff like that. So more than even physically, I feel mentally and emotionally she was particular about the input. Like, I may have said this before, I've said it in many places. When I was growing up, she didn't let me watch Ramayana Mahabharata, which was such a rage when I was growing up. And she said, no, you can watch it, but first you read it for yourself. You read it and you imagine it for yourself, and then you watch. So, of course, at that age, I was not reading it or anything. And even I remember, at that time, there was, those shows were very popular when I was growing up. Because 93, I think there was liberalization and the opening up. And then, those shows used to come, Bold and Beautiful and Santa Barbara. Terrible shows, but they were very popular. At the time, everybody was watching. So, I was not allowed to watch that either. Because she said, that's not good quality, don't watch it. She's very particular like that.
No, but you're right. It gives an insight into why you already were gravitating towards good content.
Maybe. And also, her personality, because she had a certain she has a certain vivaciousness for life. She's always the first one to, enthusiastic about idea, yeah, let's go here, or, sing a song, or, somebody will sing some folk song, she'll sing along, we'll dance. I mean, this is something that we do regularly, and this kind of an enjoyment of life I really love.
No, I love it. But what also happened is when you were making this shift, which I think you've said obviously was not planned, and it was always accidental, into acting, right?
Yeah.
Taking it seriously. It obviously started with with a Bengali film. And before that, you were actually on the set when you were 3 or 3?
I was 4 years old. My mother was shooting a Bengali film called Indira. And they needed a little boy, and I think the little boy who came cried and went home, so they just cut my hair and put me in the movie.
And that was your introduction to the world of sets and cinema?
Yeah, and I was very happy, very comfortable with my mom, and I even did my own dubbing, and so everybody was very impressed at the time.
I'm sure they were. And then of course, picnic story with am I not right?
You're right. A picnic with Shabana Azmi and Dr. Shriram Lagu and Farida Jalal and many others, Farooq Sheikh. And I was with my mom. I was not in school. We were out. I had a great time. And everybody kept saying, oh, you're acting so well, acting so well. I was like, okay. I didn't really take them so seriously either.
And then your famous Koko nickname came from there, is it?
That's right. On the sets of Sati, I think Sati is a very interesting film my mother made with Shabana Azmi, where Shabana Azmi is married off to a tree. She's a deaf mute girl who's married to a tree, which is a custom in some places, I think, to ward off bad luck or something like that.
Because they think widows bring bad luck also in a lot of places. Yeah.
So, and on that film, Shabana nicknamed me Koko.
And that has stuck.
That has stuck.
By everybody who fondly calls you Koko.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how you transitioned from that world, but you still were very in-out. You didn't get attached, right? बहुत ये expectation होता है कि child actors जो एक आध करेंगे, they will kind of get stuck in that world, but you didn't.
नहीं, मुझे सब कहते थे बार बार कि नहीं आप बहुत अच्छी एक्टिंग करते हो, ये तो बड़े होकर एक्टर ही बनेगा एंड ऑल दैट, एंड आई यूज्ड टू बी लाइक या व्हाटएवर, राइट. मुझे तो अच्छा नहीं लगता कि लोग मुझे बोले कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए. पहली बात तो ये है कि आप मत बताओ. मुझे जो करना है वो मैं करूँगी. एंड माई फैमिली वाज आल्सो लाइक दैट, वेरी ओपन. तो एंड ऑल्सो मुझे लगता था कि यार ये मेरे फैमिली है, मुझे प्यार करते हैं, पसंद करते हैं, तो उनको तो अच्छा ही लगता होगा सब कुछ, तो इसीलिए कह रहे हैं ऐसे. एक्चुअली इतना कुछ है नहीं. तो ये भी मुझे लगता था. और बिकॉज आई डिडंट ग्रो अप वॉचिंग हिंदी एंड बंगाली फिल्म्स एज सच, I didn't really relate to it. And I didn't really see myself fitting into that world anyway. And, you know, I didn't look like a typical heroine either. So I was like, what am I going to act, you know?
It's talking about the growing up years of a woman, right? Did you have your awkward teenager phase? Did you feel bullied in places? Were you shy and awkward? And how did that transition slowly happen? Because you can have someone who's creating a safe space at home, but then, you know, you will still have to be your own.
But the world is there at large to remind you of everything. So I was very awkward. I was bullied. In my building also, those building friends, they're lovely. I mean, not that I'm hugely in touch with them, but they used to bully me to a certain extent. In school also, I used to get bullied. I was a very quiet, shy, introverted child who was happy on her own, daydreaming and reading and eating churran.
I love that.
This was me, and that was my happy place. So I spent a lot of time on my own reading and daydreaming. I also grew up with a very beautiful mother. I grew up with a very beautiful, very well loved, liked and respected mother. And even my father, great storytellers, you know, both of them great storytellers, very magnetic and attractive personalities and stuff like that, you know. And I think that I didn't feel like that at that time, you know. So I was quite... but I was very comfortable in my own skin. You know, I was very comfortable in my own skin, and I was very much like, I'll just hide here kind of a feeling, you know. And I still feel like there is a part of me, an important part of me which is like that still, which is why it's very awkward to kind of, you know, be in front of the camera or to be watched and observed and asked questions and all of that, because that's not the kind of default. And you know, like I still feel like I'm 9 years old many times. Of course, I've gained experience, and you know, there's been a lot of, you know, one has hardened in certain aspects, one has developed certain other aspects, so it's okay, it's fine. But my childhood was very much like that. I wasn't an especially talented or cute kid. You know, as children get attention if they, you know, sometimes they sing very well, or they draw very well, or they sing very well, or they draw very well, or they're very cute, you know, looking. Now, I was none of these things, you know, and I feel like I was always an old soul, you know. So I was very happy in my own space, but I didn't really feel like I fit into the world of films or anything. And which is why I never saw that. It's not like I ever wanted to and I wasn't able to or anything. I just never saw that as in my future.
Konkona Sen was massive, not just in my household, in a lot of households.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you were not, that impact was very different to you as a person, right? You're right there. You can see people looking at Konkona Sen the way she was. And even today, people don't refer to you as, privileged, nepotism and all of that. Because I feel that you very quietly were making your mark. I don't know. And it's so difficult to do that in that world. Is my assumption or observation right, wrong, maybe?
Two things. One is I'll come to the nepotism, but my mom actually, the thing is my parents were separated, so then my dad was also in another city after I was like 7 or 8. So of course, I have a great relationship with him and his wife and all of that. All of that turned out really well for me, touch wood. But all of them, my entire family, they were so loving. They were so affectionate and demonstrative, in their love and affection, that there was no room for doubt, like self-doubt like that. Like I was not somebody who craved the spotlight. And I also saw the kind of difficult aspect of making films, because by the time I was kind of growing up, my mom was not doing mainstream acting in mainstream films anymore as such. She was directing films which were very alternative in content, very independent in spirit, and which difficult to raise funds for. So I really saw the back end of that, and I was like, it's not easy, to do this. So I didn't seek it out at all. And my parents were the type, like, they would have supported me whatever I wanted to be. But I didn't want to be anything. I just thought I'll have to get a job, because we're not that kind of a family. I'll get a job, and I just thought I'd study literature and do advertising or publishing or whatever, journalism or something like that, and I'll get a job. I never really thought that I'd actually get into this or I'll act or anything. When I did my first film, it was between my second and third year of college, and now when it came, I didn't want to, even though the director was lovely and, it really, really helped me, Amruta Sen, very sweet, lovely guy. But of course the film was, a very commercial potboiler kind of film. I was playing a psychotic teenager obsessed with an older man, and I was just like, I was such a snob. I was much younger. I was in college and I was doing, seminars on theatre of the absurd, and I was like, ki hoche? But then it was popular and well liked, and I got some state awards and things like that. And sometimes when people would say also, but don't you feel like your mother in comparison, I'd be like, no, I don't feel any of that. I mean, if anything, my mom was like, come on, do this film. It'll be interesting. I was like, no, I don't want to, I don't like the character. And she was like, just do it once and see. So, it was very different on the inside and on the outside. And also that I felt very proud with the way people spoke about my mom.
Of course.
I felt a lot of pride in her.
Of course.
So, it was not like people were saying, oh, Aparna Sen ki beti kya hi karegi. It was not that. No. They were like, Arey, Aparna Sen ki beti, aren't you worried about comparisons? And I was like, Arey, I don't even want to do the movie. I didn't want to do the movie till I was 10 films in. It's only when I moved to Bombay that I thought, okay, let's try this for a few years and see. Then I'll get a real job.
I feel like you looked at that separation that you spoke about in your life like that, which is why I feel there's an realistic and an emotional quotient in you. I always believe the people who see life like this have a little emotion quotient. I'm not saying I have, but I know you have for sure. This is
everybody has
sounding very narcissistic.
No, not at all.
But I feel you have. When I see you as a director, as an actor, emoting on screen, I feel like it's all the little experiences that you've seen and the choices that you make. Your understanding of relationship is not perfect. And tell me if I'm right with this, because people usually say broken family in the way like as if our worlds, but it's very different. It's very different.
Yeah, it's different from the inside. Firstly, this was my normal. And this was my normal, and I was very lucky because, there was no animosity between my parents. There was a lot of respect. They never spoke badly of each other. They both went on to actually marry the love of their lives, I guess.
Of course.
In many ways, because I've really lucked out with my stepmother and my stepfather. And even though my dad has now passed, I have such a lovely relationship with his wife. And in fact, me and my son went to visit her the other day. She's in Bangalore. And I've had a very unusual and blended family always, My sister is actually a half sister, my older sister. My younger sister is actually a foster sister. I mean, I think it's beautiful. And I think that love only grows, and as it's shared and it multiplies. So it's very different, of course, from the inside. And also, I think I was surrounded by like-minded people who were not so old-fashioned and petty and conservative. The people around me were elevated. So I
hope we see
didn't-
more people like that.
I do.
Yeah. No, I'm saying at large, of course.
I do only. And if I don't know, I avoid.
That's
I
love
avoid.
that.
I can get a sense and I'm like, thak, it's okay.
No, 100%. But I think I agree I think you'll also agree about the EQ part of it, right? The emotional intelligence kind of, like you said, elevates along with understanding relationships.
And I think a lot of that comes from reading as well. A lot of that comes from reading. Because what are you doing when you're reading? You're entering somebody else's mind. You're entering another world. You can leave yourself behind. It's very nice, yeah.
That is the kind of love stories that you do also shows that, right? Whether it is Life in a Metro or whether it's now Metro In Dino, I feel like there is that layer
See,
in
this is, I'm
relationship.
meeting elevated human beings only, like Anurag Basu.
But it's true, absolutely.
I'm so lucky. Yeah, and actually you'll see in Metro In Dino, my track with Pankaj, who, I had a blast working with. But my track is, it's actually talking about quite complex issues only.
Which is what?
Because in most love stories, you're seeing when the lovers or the protagonists get together, then the film ends. Or it's that early marriage, early romance or whatever like that. But here, you're actually seeing a couple. It's a good marriage only, they are right for each other mostly. But now it's been 10 years, 12 years, there are children, there are EMIs and school fees and jobs and, all those kind of things. And there is a certain monotony that creeps into monogamy, as I said earlier.
But that is the most real aspect.
That is what. But Anurag has treated with so much lightness and humor, which was there even in Life in a Metro.
Yeah.
Actually. So even though it's not actually a sequel, because they're totally different characters, different worlds and all of that. But I think just exploring through 4 couples, exploring all aspects of love through 4 couples and then doing it in this very humorous, light-hearted fashion and dealing with complex themes also.
Yeah.
That's what I love about him.
If you look back at a lot of romantic tracks that are part of the dramas that you've done, they have addressed complex issues, the egos that come in between and all of that. I think it's very interesting.
Firstly, I'm very lucky that these films have come to me. It could have gone to somebody else. So it's not like we get a platter of these films are being made this year, I'll take my pick. It's nothing like that. Whatever's coming my way. Yeah. And in that, I'm trying to choose something which I can resonate with, that resonates with me. So sometimes it can be that you see a spark in the director. Or you like their previous work. Or it's a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
Some first-time filmmakers are absolutely very special. I love working with first-time filmmakers because often, especially a writer-director, often has lived with that story for a long time and imagined the film in their heads, you know.
Yeah.
So that makes a very special film as well. But I think that when I approach like a character or whatever, I'm just trying to do it. I don't know, I don't do it consciously. I'm just trying to do it in the most natural way that I can. And it's not like I have any agenda.
Of course. No, of course.
I like nuance. I like depth.
Yeah. No, of course. That is very evident from your career and we admire you for that and we love that. Life in a Metro had this beautiful scene with you and Irrfan, right? Where he's saying bye because he said main kal shaadi ho rahi meri, and he cries, and then the conversation turns about how he's not the man that you want. It's such a well written scene. That is the magic also of Anuragda films.
Yes,
also
absolutely.
2 actors who are so fantastic that the scene just comes alive. Can we talk about that beautiful scene and your memories of creating that?
Anurag has a certain emotional depth. So I feel like, I've read about this also somewhere that what you bring to your writing or your reading or whatever manifestation of your creativity comes from how richly and how deeply you've lived. So maybe that is, I'm saying now, I'm not doing it on purpose, I don't have an agenda, but I am like, maybe that kind of emotional depth is leaking into some of the roles that I'm doing. Or, maybe that is what is, I don't know why, I was very lucky that Anurag also offered me this kind of a role, and you recognize it in another person, and you can see that in Anurag. Even those scenes where And a lot of the scenes are written, he has an overall screenplay and an idea and the characters and where the story is going from where to where. But sometimes some of those details are written on set.
Yeah.
Some of those things are at least filled in on set or on the way or something like that, You can't do that if you don't have it in you, You can't just manufacture that. You can't create it. That is who you are. And so I think that was very lucky and a nice coming together of people, with Anurag and Irrfan and I. It was lovely for me.
Also then tells us that he has a lot of faith in the both of you also as actors too, कि ये मोटा मोटी है, because I know थोड़ा बहुत तो खुद भी improvise करते हो आप लोग, right? Like you let it go. You're not sticking, for someone who's writing there, you're not sticking by the rules कि यही line इतना ही बोलना है.
Actually, to be honest, I am doing that a little bit because I'm very particular about the Hindi. Because I don't want to make mistakes in the Hindi.
Fair enough.
So little bit that I do. But yeah, sure. I mean, Irrfan too, of course, and others do improvise. I think that's Anurag's way of working. And, he gets the results because he has a certain faith in his actors. He gives them a certain freedom. And, he doesn't take his art so seriously. And it comes through, That's what the person you are, na? It comes through. It doesn't matter what lies you tell. It doesn't matter what you try to hide. It doesn't matter what you say and what you reveal. It doesn't matter because ultimately, some essence comes through. So his essence comes through in his films. My essence probably comes through in my performances. Your essence comes through in your interviews and in your work. I'm sure. It must be, right?
Sure. No, 100%. But like I said, it's just such beautiful writing and understanding of relationships also, right?
Right.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I think if you're living under a rock, if some of you are, then you may not know that this is a 2-time National Award winning actor sitting in front of me. And you won one of the national awards for Best Actor when it was your 3rd film and one of my favorite films. And I bet if you are listening to this conversation, it is one of your favorite films too, Mr. and Mrs. Iyer. Being an Opernation fan, to watch you and watch the film was just an experience.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Also, again, a very interesting graph for the female lead because she was not always strong and confident. I love that you showed a woman who was not starting se वैसे. वो हो गई बाद में, you know.
She was quite awful in the beginning.
Yeah.
Bigoted and prejudiced.
That's the beauty, right? I want to understand how it was for you to do that and understand her because it was such and also of course working with your mother back then and how that must have been.
I love playing characters who are going through some kind of transition, who are not the same from beginning to end.
I love to watch.
And I'm very tired of playing women of substance. I think that happened a lot in the early part of my career. Till I had my kid. So I had Haroon in 2011. So in that first half of my career, it was much more, woman of substance or like full of integrity, strong woman of a certain moral conviction, very earnest, that kind of thing I used to get a lot. And I don't know how or where I exude this moral integrity somehow, but
you do have it.
I do.
You do have it, Konkona. You do.
But I got more interesting roles later, actually, which I'm very grateful for, thank God. Working with my mother, though, was... today I realize what a dream. That's the other thing, in terms of like nepotism, which is such a hot topic nowadays. Yes, it's true that, I've really had the best kind of nepotism or whatever in a way because I've had so much privilege and so much luck. It's not like there was any plan. I didn't want to become an actor. My mother had no plans to launch me. It's because Amruta Sen put me in this film and everybody was like, oh, it's so good, that Rituparna Ghosh said, do my film. That was my second film. Rituparna Ghosh was a friend of the family. So again, very lucky. And he said, you'll become too old now for this part. You better do it now. So that's how Titli happened. Then my mother was writing Mr. and Mrs. Iyer on the desktop. I forgot what it was called. The desktop used to be in my room. True. So she would write and she'd keep reading aloud to me. And apparently it was all from my expressions that she was like, oh, she only should play this part. So, and I think that a lot of the time I don't get dragged into this nepotism thing. Probably, do I think it's unfair? Yes, I do think it's unfair. But I mean, I think it happens everywhere.
Sure.
I think like people, in other professions as well. But it is unfair. And so I always want to kind of acknowledge my luck and my privilege in this situation that I got a Mr. and Mrs. Iyer to do as my third film at all. It's inconceivable, and I didn't even want to do it. I actually tried to convince her to take, I think it was Meghna Reddy or one of the Reddy sisters who was, I think, quite popular then. And see, but why you want to take me? I'm not even tam. And I don't even want to act. So then she was like, no. So she's so very, very smart because she tricked me. She said, okay, but you go to Madras and do some research for me. I said, what research? She said, you know about the Iyers and the Iyengars and the Shaivites and the Vaishnavites and what is the difference and what do they wear, and his name was supposed to be Murugan, but then I went and found out Murugan is an Iyengar name and he can be called, and I came up. So it was very interesting for me. I found that very interesting, and without knowing it, I had gussowed into that milieu and started to imbibe that kind of culture. I went and stayed with family friends in Chennai and really got into the whole thing. And then when I came back, I came back and there was some time for the shoot, and then I went back for my MA, and the MA was very boring and very bad. They were doing the same things that I'd already done in my BA, which I had already done in my A levels because I didn't actually do ISCSE, so I'd already done a lot of that stuff, and it was just not a very aesthetic looking building, and it was just very ugly and dirty, and I just didn't appreciate the architecture. And so I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And so then I dropped my MA and came to do Mr. and Mrs. Iyer. And that was such a great experience because firstly, the prep of that was so significant at a time where films were not prepping. So where she was doing look tests and, accent ka coaching, workshops and improvs and readings. Especially taking time out for. So I think that was my film school.
And representing cultures the way they are, not to what you stereotypically imagine them to be.
That's right.
Besides, of course, the performances are fantastic. The research that you talk about, it makes sense. So that gave you a national award.
Yeah, and that actually is what started off my career in many ways. Because, I remember even after Mr. and Mrs. Iyer came out in theatres, I used to still scan the newspaper, the classifieds for jobs. Because I didn't want to be an actor.
Yeah.
So I was still looking for other jobs. And I even went for some interviews. And then what happened is once I got the national award, there was a lot of media attention. So I think other people also got to know about it. And then I started getting more offers. So then I got busy. I just got busy and I said, okay, let's just see how it goes. And I think it's only a few years, like after I did my first 10 films that I kind of even was like, oh, I guess I'm an actor now.
Another aspect that I find very fascinating and very you is how often you talk about how much self-doubt you have. Because every time someone comes out and tells you, oh, you were so amazing, you must be, I'm sure you know how it is, but you've always said that, I don't know what happens next. Is it okay? You actually have those reactions. I know it's not a problem of confidence at all. I know that you're a very confident person. But I also feel like because you've been around in this world, you realize the amount of narcissism that actors can sometimes have, or let this kind of, because the world around you is always saying nice things also sometimes to you. I feel like you're keeping yourself at check also at a level, and genuinely you sometimes think that, am I good? Which can be considered to be an imposter syndrome. I've thought a lot about it because, so can you explain to me, maybe my theories are all hogwash?
No, not at all. I think you're quite close and it's interesting to think about. I think that when I was very young, that's why I'm saying old soul, a lot of wisdom was already there when I was a kid. I don't know how. So I remember being fairly young and realizing that I can take neither praise nor criticism very seriously. That's one thing. Secondly, कि मेरे खुद के standards काफ़ी high हैं. तो अगर मैंने एक परफॉर्मेंस दिया और मुझे लगा कि ये ठीक था, इतना बुरा भी नहीं था, इतना अच्छा भी नहीं था, ठीक था. लेकिन फिर बाकी लोग जब उसको देखा तब बाकी लोग मुझे बोला कि no, that's very good performance. So then then you can't change. Then you can be like, okay, I know what it is, but this is what people think. You can't be like, oh, then it must be very good. So that is something, one realization I had early. And also, I think one other thing which I've said before also that happened to me is because I was a terrible student till class 8. And then, I don't know, something switched because I went to this international board and I did my O-levels and A-levels and I really opened, blossomed and I enjoyed my studies and I started doing well. But because till class 8 I was not a good student, I was a little bullied, I was not especially very obviously talented in any way. So even the way that teachers and others treated me, except for one or two very kind, lovely souls, you see what it is,
What did they say?
No,
for
nothing like that. Nothing.
But just like a general sort
just
of...
a certain...
you're not good enough kind of feeling? Is that what you felt?
I mean, being a little invisible, or some teachers who have a shade of cruelty, maybe humiliate you a little, which is all okay. It's all part of the regular school experience. I'm not saying that any of this is absolutely traumatic or anything like that. But the thing is that I saw how the attitudes changed after I just did 1-2 films. So then how can you take it seriously? Because you're like, just now you were like this. Why you're being like this now? So you can see it very plainly, and I don't even hold it against them.
Sure.
Let them do what they want to do, but I don't have to take it seriously. So that, I think, was a useful thing, not getting used to external validation from a young age, and also not taking either praise or criticism seriously, and having your own standards. Your own standards and maybe a few people close to you.
Sure.
Who
who was your sounding board in your life when it came to scripts or even some choices? Who are the people?
I've been very lucky. I've always had very lovely people around me. Sounding board as in, very earlier on, I started just doing exactly what I want. I mean, initially, my mother would also say a little bit, I think you should do this, I think you should do that, and we would have these arguments, and I'd be like, no, I want to do the way I want to do, let's see. And then I think after a point, they kind of also were like, theek hai to ho raha hai, let it be, let her be, kind of a thing. But a lot of it is luck, I think. I had good people. I had, of course, my parents who are really my friends. And I've also always had very good friendships. Very lucky to have good friends. And these friends, though, are like, my friends are very old friends. So they're school or college friends. This is pre-fame friends.
Sure.
And honestly, they were not at all interested in my fame at all. To the extent that if I go somewhere and there are some people who are coming to me or whatever, they're the first ones to cut to. They're out of there. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, come and rescue me also, or just like, you can help. No.
Which is why I think you've stayed away from this external things that come along with being a star or a celebrity.
Maybe. And they really keep me grounded. I am generally grounded. My family is grounded. My friends also keep me grounded. And it's not like they watch all my films or anything at all. And I also tell them, I'll say, if there's a really good film, I tell you, because I've done some 60 films, I think, out of which I think 15 or 20 are good.
You think so?
Yeah. Rest are mediocre, whatever, it's okay. So, they don't have to watch every film.
Okay, as a director, I think Ratnaganj was fantastic for me. Because you said only 15 or 20 I think there are a lot more that we love. Chalo, it's a difference of opinion we have on this. Fair enough. Which are the films that you, for someone who has such high standards for her own self, actually think are good? Let's hear it.
In my own films?
Yeah. Think decent. Okay, I'll not say good because I know you'll say pata nahi. Decent. Can we now have a few names?
Yeah.
I know.
Decent, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you. One is the 15 Park Avenue, which I feel very proud of. I think that's thank you. I think that's my best performance as per me. 15 Park Avenue, Mr. and Mrs. Iyer, of course, Doshor. Then... Then there are good films. There are other nice films also. Life in a Metro, Luck by Chance, Wake Up Sid, Page 3. These, and that's only 7.
But like it's
Goinar Baksho is
Goinar Baksho, I love as well.
There are others I'm forgetting. There are a few others. There's Amu, which is a very beautiful film, Shonali Bose's.
Fair enough. The fact that you've named 7 only is an
Lipstick
achievement.
Under My Burqa, that's a very interesting film. Dolly Kitty. So there are, I'm telling you, there are about 15, 20 good films. And I may have missed out a few right now. But that much so there are. And then when you have a career over 2 decades, I mean, every film can't be amazing and perfect.
Fair enough. Metro In Dino is also trying to explore love in Dino, relationships in Dino, right?
Yeah.
How do you look at all the stories you hear from your friends and people or around you about love in Dino? What are your observations about love in Dino, from love your Dino to this in Dino? And and how the film also talks about it.
I find there's a huge reliance on social media. I mean, social media is just a tool. But, there's a lot of like who's posting what, who's liking what, who's talking whom. Like, all of that is like a very big deal, as though it's like fully real. And it's not. The other thing I find from observation also is that, like, sometimes like I'll find with my friends, like, they take it very quickly. And I feel, and anyway, I'm that kind of person, I take things very slow. Like even to like, not just relationships, I think even with friendships, it takes me a while. I'm a cautious person, like it takes me, I mean, I can get along and have fun and do ha-ha with many people and have fun. But I'm talking about actually being vulnerable and trusting. In that sense, I really take my time with friendships and with relationships. So maybe that's just me. So I find other people sometimes I'm alarmed. I'm like, wait, you barely know the person. You're only chatting. Now you're only chatting. You're not meeting them only in real life. Then how much can you really get to understand them as a whole? How they operate in society with other human beings.
I have similar trust issues. And for being a single woman going on dating apps, after you've seen the world there, I have major trust issues to move on from that.
Yeah.
It's a difficult world.
Yeah, it's not easy. And I have friends who've been on these dating apps and all, it's tough. I don't think anybody's happy with that situation.
No, 100%. Like you said, it is difficult, but I think people are hustling through it like they've been doing for other things.
Yeah.
But you know what, Konkona, there's always a conversation about how do you heal from what has not worked and try to again trust on finding a partner on love as well, which I think is a difficult process to do. Like I said, I have trust issues. How do you work through that, you think?
But I do feel I've always been like this. It's not something which has happened to me, since my divorce or anything. I feel I've always been like this. Really? Yeah. From childhood only I've been like, I'm telling you, I was a loner and an introvert only. So but I enjoy people. I enjoy people. I can have fun with people. It takes me time to open up. It just takes me time, and I also have friendships. Really, I have friendships over years. And I'm very happy about that.
Female friendships are healing in a way.
Yeah.
And they are
Absolutely.
important, right?
And I'm very lucky that I've had some friendships with even, men.
Yeah.
Really wonderful, decent men I've had friendships with.
So that
I'm
helps
very lucky.
That helps in the healing process, I guess.
In the healing process of what?
Of things not working out and moving on.
See, things don't always work out in life. That's the other thing. I think, coming from parents who may have separated, I think that's a learning early, that things don't always work out in life, and this expectations that things will always work out, I think is an unnecessary expectation to have. That's how I feel.
In the trailer, you know that like you said, there are issues, there are conflicts, right? You're not living in a world that is without conflict. Like you said, you have to heal from what you've had before and try to work through it, which also your characters are doing, right, in most of these situations. Tell me how it is for you to explore those themes in such films.
I feel like, when a part like for Dada, for Anurag, because he writes also in, like his dialogues, most of them are very spoken dialogues. That's why it's not an issue as such to learn, because he has a natural flair for it. Your character is also talking how they would talk in real life, and he doesn't mind if you, little bit idhar udhar kar do. That's not an issue for him. I borrow heavily from my real life. I borrow heavily from other people's real lives also. For, I think, acting as well as for direction. And one dangerous thing I found myself doing was that I will sometimes tweak my normal life to fit it to the scene I have to do today in order to use it.
Can you exemplify that?
Yes, I will. What I mean is that, suppose today I have to do a very serious and intense scene. Chalo, maybe in Metro In Dino, it's not so. There was an intense scene actually, but I'm talking generally intense scenes, like whether it's here or anywhere else. That
if you could exemplify something that you've done.
I have done. Like, suppose I know that there is a really big and intense scene coming up, and I have to cry and I have to be upset.
Yeah.
And in the morning, something small has happened, which has not really upset me. And I've taken it in my stride, but I'll use it. I'll let myself get upset. I'll let myself get upset about a small thing which is not actually upsetting me, but I'll let myself get upset, and then I will observe how I am when I'm upset. Just to refresh.
Sure.
And then I'll use it on that day only. I'll use it later that day. And I've done that in life. I've done that a few times in life, and I found it very useful, actually. But it can be kind of dangerous.
Can affect your mental health, no? Like if you get that intense.
No, I think my mental health, is fairly robust like that.
Fair enough. Okay.
For this much, though, one has to do.
No, I'm just saying if there are other scenes and you're trying to really feel.
Once I professed feelings to a guy, which I kind of had, not very seriously, but because I was going to do it in a scene in a film.
Wow.
Yeah, which I may not otherwise have done or may have done, I'm not sure. But I did do it, and I used the whole duk and how it feels now to do it. I used it was very helpful.
Because this is so interesting. So how have you changed from the Konkona and Mr. and Mrs. Iyer? I know you've changed a lot. To someone today who goes on the sets or is sitting in front of me. And how, because you're a self-aware person, I want to ask about this evolution.
I, though, firstly feel I've not changed. No. I feel like I'm the same as I was in 9. I feel like 9 is the age that I'm stuck at.
That's your main
very
landmark
interesting.
Age, is it?
My landmark age is 9, which is a prepubescent age.
Yeah.
So it's a very androgynous kind of an age. It's not a very female or a very male or anything.
You're
age.
not really like.
It's like a pre-sexual age almost. But so I really feel like that's the age that I'm stuck at. I mean, not stuck at. But even at times, like when I'm a little confused or, how I am or how to be, there's some days where one is a little all over the place. I can go back to the 9-year-old because I feel that that girl had a lot of...
belief?
Like reserves, like a lot of reserve strength, like a lot of, not really depending on like an external world so much. Like very self-resilient.
So interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to say 3 characters and you tell me any anecdote or anything that you particularly remember. We don't have too much time and there are a lot of interesting characters in your life. Of course, Wake Up Sid, films. Luck by Chance, of course, Page 3. Luck by Chance and Page 3 I think are very interesting because you are somehow in that world that you are. You are a part of the film industry, you're a part of fashion in some way or the other, and you got to show a very real side of it, even though you might not be in amidst that scene. Gave the world an insight in a films, of course.
Yeah.
Tell me how you felt about those characters.
I was, going chronologically, I was so excited about Page 3 because Madhur Bhandarkar had just directed Chandni Bar with the Taboo. So I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to do his... I love Chandni Bar, I love Taboo. And I was really excited to do Page 3. But that was the first time I came. Not the first time, I'd been to Bombay before. My dad used to live here for a while, so I used to come. But the first time I really kind of... got to know the city, and I wasn't aware of this page 3 life actually, because I was very removed from it in Delhi and Cal. So I got to know that through Madhur, and he did take me around on local trains. He took me to like the TOI office and things like that, and kind of got to know that world a little bit.
Sure.
And he told me about those parties and things like that. But I was again very lucky to be included, to be part of that world. It's a world I knew about, because even the Calcutta version of that world wasn't really like the Mumbai version.
Yeah.
At that time. So I knew it, but I think I was in Calcutta, I was in the inside of an industry.
Yeah.
But in Bombay, I was not. I was not an insider. But so I had the kind of the feeling of being an insider, and I had to apply it there in Mumbai. So I got to know that world through Madhur, and because of that script, and that was also, I think, kudos to Madhur, because I didn't know what was happening. I really didn't know, because we shot it over many months, and I used to come and go, and I used to live in sun and sand for a long time at that time. So and that was one. And then Luck by Chance, is a script that I had heard about, because that script was doing the rounds. And I had heard that Zoya Akhtar has written this fantastic film. And I think at that time it was not a very conventional role for a protagonist, hero, heroine type. So I think some of the mainstream heroes or heroines may not have wanted to do it at that time. I'm not sure. That's what I had heard. So when that came to me, I was so excited. And my God, what a script that was. I have not read a better script.
Yeah, 100%.
Till today, I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite scripts for sure. Maybe I'm forgetting 1, 2 others, but it's definitely up there in my top 5. I was just like, why would anybody not do this role? What a great role. I was so thrilled to be working with Zoya. And Ayan, yaar. It was, again, first films. Now I'm telling you, first films are something else. Shonali Bose's also Amu was the first film. Ayan, Zoya. And Ayan's, he had really fleshed it out and detailed it so well and so much. Like, he had shared with me, for example, what kind of music Aisha would listen to. So anyway, I used to love old Hindi songs, but he introduced me to many more. And he made me how we used to make mixtapes, he made me a CD.
Really?
Yeah, of Aisha's music. And, we did spend some time. We did a lot of look tests, a lot of reading, spent a lot of time with him there. And, the production design of that film, Amruta Subhash, I think that's the full name, it's fantastic. I mean, till today, people come to me and tell me, Aisha's house, Aisha's apartment.
You actually remember the room so well.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Of course, the on-screen chemistry, right, with Ranbir.
Yeah.
I think both of you, because of the fact that you all spend so much time in researching and understanding your character, it just came so beautifully.
It's not actually, Rudrani, it's not like Ranbir and I had a lot of rehearsals together.
Really?
Yeah. But, and also nobody knew how good an actor Ranbir was. Because he had just started.
Yeah.
He had just, I think, only done Savaria, which also I saw later.
Yeah.
So I also didn't really know what to expect. I was so pleasantly surprised. And he's also technically very proficient, because I think he studied filmmaking or whatever abroad.
Yeah.
So he used to know all this left, right and axis and all that also he used to know very well, which at that time though I didn't know at all. I still get confused.
The last time we did this wonderful interview with some of the best
The round
performances.
table. Yes.
And I had the absolute fantastic
That was
time.
a really fun shoot actually. It was chaotic, but it was fun.
It was chaotic. Thank you so much for doing it again.
No,
and it, of course, traveled, and people had a lot of things to say and discuss, which I like, because it opened a lot of conversations, real conversations. There's a video of yours that went viral from that.
And you just constantly keep getting replaced without realizing कि मैं क्यों replace हो गई? क्योंकि you made yourself replaceable. You got yourself casted in films where anybody else could have done it.
Yeah.
So you have to make yourself so relevant consistently कि तुम्हारे आसपास कोई cast है, तुम चाहे छोटा role कर रहे हो, but you are so relevant and important for that film that not many people can do that part.
Yeah.
Then only you will stand the test of time.
Absolutely. And one more, sorry, I just want to add to something over here. you'll always see, we've all done it at some
where you're having these specific expressions. I mean, I wanted to show you, everybody knows, I'll play it if you all have a thing. And people had theories about how, because Tapsi was talking about what she went through.
Stupid, you know. Because actually, a few people sent it to me also, and I think people I'm so glad that you brought this up, because people, I think, were under the impression that I'm making fun of,
the group and the people.
The people there, which I totally wasn't. Sometimes I think I'm more expressive than I realize. So, even if I'm thinking something, it's like I'm thinking loudly.
Yeah.
I can just think quietly, And I think, from what I remember of that clip, I was thinking, listening, wondering, about it, what they're saying and all. And then at one point, I remembered to sit up straight.
Yeah.
That was the thinking, the camera's on me, I must sit up straight. This I remember.
Yeah.
But nothing else.
Yeah, and you were showing support. In fact, I think the expression also said that why is still happening. Everybody, I remember Manisha ma'am said, the fact that sometimes the things that continue in my time are still things that these people are going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us were very much in agreement about that. And I had, there was no disrespect meant towards anybody. And also, I'm not that person. You know that I'm not that person.
No, you're not. We'll end it by this, okay? We discussed so many things there also. I want to know, how have you, in your own way, as a woman in the industry, navigated through subtle sexist moments or disagreements, or at a level maybe as a person, or while even writing or pitching as a director, things that you think should really change also still today. And I know you are not big on trying to give advice, but I still think if anyone who wants to come in the industry today as an actor, what are a few things you think they should still keep in mind? We'd like to end on that note.
I may have come across it to a certain extent, but not, I think, as much as somebody else would. As a director, firstly, I was very lucky because I was already a well-known actor.
Yeah.
Also, my mother is a Konkona Sen. Even though she's very removed from the Bombay film world, which is why I think maybe sometimes they forget about the nepotism thing, which is fine. Either way is okay with me, because I'm very proud of her. But because she's very removed from, and she's Cal and also a director now, so not even as much an actress, and I never wanted to be an actor. Anyway, but so I may have faced it less than other people. One, though, to a certain extent, one has to be able to, it's very wrong and bad and things must change. One is very important, I feel, to call it out even when you're with friends, because there are a lot of things that we normalize, like just the words we use, the way we speak about people. I think that one has to call it out every single time, and even if it's sounding like boring or whatever, or even if it's just a joke, I always say it. I was like, but as a joke only, I would like to call it out, and I do say it as much as possible. To a certain extent, you have to grow a bit of a thick skin. To a certain extent, because you still have to do what you set out to do.
Sure.
You can't let other people's bad behavior stop you. Even though they should not be behaving like anything, and you shouldn't have to do anything to compensate for other people's bad behavior. Sure. But practically speaking, so I do think it's important to call it out, especially amongst our own friends and things like that, and to look out for other people. And it's not just about gender, it's also about class and caste and other ways that one can, as much as possible, look out for other people.
Thank you so much for the wonderful empathy you have while directing or by doing anything that you do. Like you mentioned so many things, your films have always reflected your beliefs, like your mother. And I think that the world needs more people like that. So thank you, Konkona. We will always love and cheer for you. I'm very excited for Metro In Dino.
Me too. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to chat with you always, Rudrani. I'm so glad we did this.
I'm so glad we did this. Thank you once again. And like I said, lots of love.
Thank you. You too.